the data efficiency shock. Llama 4 is the first flagship model to consume 40% less training data than its predecessor, while doubling its performance on complex logic benchmarks. This is not a result of better hardware or more GPUs. It marks the official end of the era where engineers simply shove the entire internet into a transformer and hope for the best. Meta realized that scaling size is useless if the model is just memorizing patterns it has already seen a billion times. To break the performance ceiling, they had to give the model a sense of curiosity. This structural shift is what engineers are calling the transition to active inference scaling. Hitting the data wall. By April 2026, the pool of high-quality human-generated text on the open web has been fully exhausted by previous training runs. Every blog post, research paper, and digital book has already been indexed and compressed into weights. Simply adding more parameters now yields diminishing returns because the model is essentially rereading its own notes. This creates a ceiling where intelligence stagnates regardless of how many billions of dollars are spent on electricity. If Meta wanted Llama 4 to actually think, they could not just give it more facts. They had to change how the model interacts with its own uncertainty. The curiosity loop mechanism. Traditional models are passive. They look at a sequence of words and guess what comes next. Active inference flips this by allowing Llama 4 to assign a confidence score to its own internal logic. When the model encounters a gap in its understanding during the training phase, it does not just guess. It triggers a subroutine that generates a targeted question to a verified knowledge base or runs a self-simulation to test a hypothesis. Think of it like a student who stops the lecture to ask a clarifying question instead of just nodding along. This active loop allows the model to learn complex reasoning with a fraction of the raw tokens. The meta-strategic pivot. Mark Zuckerberg's move to integrate these active models with their custom MTIA chips has cut inference costs by nearly 2/3 this month. By training Llama 4 to be selective about what it learns, Meta has bypassed the need for the massive data scraping operations that are currently bogging down competitors in legal battles. They are no longer competing for the volume of data, but for the quality of the questions the model can ask itself. This allows them to deploy a model that is smarter than GPT-5, but small enough to run on consumer-grade edge devices. Meta is effectively weaponizing efficiency to win the hardware war, the shift toward epistemic agency. The success of Llama 4 proves that the path to artificial general intelligence is through epistemic agency, not just massive scale. We have moved from the era of knowledge retrieval, which caused the data wall crisis, to an era of active verification. This changes the game for developers, because the bottleneck is no longer how much data you can scrape, but how well you can architect a model's curiosity loop. For investors and strategists, the metric that matters now is no longer parameter count, but the efficiency ratio of reasoning to data consumption. If you are still evaluating models based on the size of their training cluster, you are looking at a metric that Llama 4 just made obsolete. Watch for the June 2026 developer conference, where Meta will likely open source the specific curiosity tuning weights that make this possible. Subscribe for more.